The ups and downs, winners and losers in the world of sim racing, right here, right now. Greetings Rummies and welcome to Rum, the channel sharing the joy of sim racing, and to a regular news roundup, our weekly sim racing news. Welcome to the channel if you're new here, and thanks to all those who come here often, especially those who subscribe. My name is Serta and I will be your host for this video. Things are moving in sim racing. Not always for the better, but that's life, innit? Straight 4 have officially declared they are adding Lime Rock Park as a track. Their first for now, but of course won't be the last. And they showed us their new logo. Our graphic guru Cody loves it. I don't especially like it. At the end of the day, it's more important how the sim drives, right? Talking about change, we have a new member of the team. Please welcome Arvid Silver, whose voice you may start hearing quite soon and who will be doing a ton of research for us. We're very happy to add him to our wonderful roster of excellence. And in the realm of sim racing adjacent software, and to nobody's surprise, the existence of GTA 6 has been confirmed. The worst kept secret in gaming. No launch date, just a vague, we'll show you a trailer at the beginning of December, and people are already going bonkers, and I'm sure there's going to be 1000 reaction videos to the trailer. God, do I hate those. Keeping in that realm, the newest DLC for bike racing game TT Isle of Man is out, named 2023 TT Racers Roster, which is no more and no less than an update to bring the game up to date with the newest drivers and their liveries. And still in sim racing adjacent territory, you can get F1 2023 Standard Edition for 60% less than the horrendous selling price at start. Still €30 more than I'm willing to pay for that disaster, but you'll decide for yourself. And while including a small error in their questionnaire, the FIA wants to know your opinion of sim racing. We suppose to find out if there's enough interest to make a profit of it. Nevertheless, give them a piece of your mind by going to the questionnaire we've linked in a description below. And never mind they screwed up answer 7 to question 6. They are only human after all. Back to sim racing, a small patch was introduced to iRacing on Tuesday. This is a set, just a small patch, it being the 4th in the running season, which updates the Italian spotter messages, adds a guide to set up iRacing for triple monitors, and adds or updates the damage model for GTP and NASCAR cars, as well as the Ferrari 296 GT3. The Arca Menard Chevy got a small correction in the animation, and in the current County Raceway Park, an issue was fixed that was producing repeated and erroneous cautions. Last Wednesday, Rennsport held a town hall meeting at their Discord for which they had been collecting questions from the community during the previous week. In it, they disclosed that support for triple monitors won't come anytime soon, as Unreal Engine 5 has no such support, and for now they want to keep 100% compliant to that engine. VR support is part of the Unreal Engine though, so support for this kind of display is very much on the roadmap. The physics caboodle we reported about a couple of weeks ago, see the link up there, was seen as a breakdown of communication and completely their fault, as they unwillingly misdirected the public to believe they were doing everything in-house whilst already having communicated their use of Unreal Engine 5. Therefore, they expected the general sim racing public to understand they would be using external support for different things. A very naive view if you ask us, and one they are correcting now, making sure everybody knows they are using UA5 for graphics and some of the physics, ISI for a different part of the physics, and Fmod for anything having to do with sound. their lead developer, making it clear the team will be using any system that is best of breed when the need arises. Make or buy is a classic question you deal with in software development, and especially when it comes to specific libraries like ISI, Fmod or UA5, it's often the case of companies buying a license for those, as it's easier to use widely accepted and successful libraries than reinventing the wheel. By the way, Assetto Corsa, American Truck Simulator, iRacing and BeamNG also use Fmod amongst many other games you surely have played, including that paragon of sim racing whose excellence has never been surpassed, called Project Cars 3. Also, they made it clear they still plan to move away from ISI with their own physics at some non-determined point in time in the future. We'll see about that though. An update is in the making, which is expected to reach those with a closed beta key at the end of November. More about the beta keys later in this segment. Let's keep with the update for now. This update, coded 1.6, will bring 2 new tracks, both in the USA. Road Atlanta and Daytona. The latter unluckily only in the Roval version, as Rennsport is not yet able to support multiple layouts of tracks. With regards to cars, 2 as yet undisclosed TCR cars will be released, and Rennsport will support rolling starts. As was to be expected, the force feedback will be heavily updated, supported by an update of physics, which this time are concentrated in everything having to do with tire lateral grip. Mind you, they worked on everything having to do with their tire model, but lateral grip was the focus this time. And some of the sound will be updated too. After this update is released, the team plan to bring updates more often, maybe even every month, with pit stops being one of the headaches developers are working upon, which may or may not be released soon. In time, but this is more a middle or even long-term goal, endurance and multi-class races will be part of the sim, as will a weather system and time of day towards a 24-hour cycle, but here developers make no promises at all regarding when these changes are going to be implemented in the sim. Also, all the development regarding modding within the sim is something Rennsport expects to have ready during the next year. Yet another function they will introduce into the sim at some point in next year, which has to do with multiplayer, is a reward system. Tongue very firmly in cheek, they also disclosed their long-term goal is to produce the best racing sim ever. Hold the press! Scoop! And while not promising anything, they also disclosed they are vying for the open beta release really early next year, but if wishes were horses. And tada! Their plan is to release Rennsport in full and out of any beta sometime in 2024, but they were very careful with this date, making it clear that it's not set in stone. Only the wish by Rennsport's CEO Morris. Again, if wishes were horses. Overall and by design, the team is keeping any dates or release vague, as they prefer to adhere to the "it's ready when it's ready" philosophy, not wanting to release half-baked solutions after they were themselves not happy with how the Praga felt on release, also because they did not have direct support from the manufacturer and were not privy to their data. For the Rennsport team, this is all a learning process, as while their team has incredibly experienced game developers that, for example, worked on the first of the Division games, excellent game by the way, and some with experience in racing games, the details of how to implement a racing sim are in part not widely known. They try to learn from every misstep, which to us sounds like they are in for the long haul, which is great news for sure. Also, they allowed me to geek out for a moment, as I had asked a very technical question about multi-threading and multi-core support. Rennsport is set up so that it uses one core for physics, one for audio, one for gameplay and rendering, one for network replication, and one for force feedback, making it 5 in total, but as network and audio don't use much CPU, they can share one and the same core and make Rennsport run smoothly on a quad-core machine, and even better on a 6 or 8-core CPU. And while Rennsport uses different cores, it does not thread across these cores, as it would incur in a high probability of issues, one of them aptly called a race condition. Yes, that is a term used in IT, but it has nothing to do with sim racing or motorsports. Ask me about it at any expo we meet and I'll explain it to you for the low price of one tasty beer. Cheers! About their CFO leaving, a thing we commented in our podcast, see the link up there, it seems it happened for health reasons, as the pressure of the position was taking its toll, as well as the reality of the company being a remote company with people working in different places. We at RomRom wish him all the best, as we understand both reasons, being a remote operation ourselves. We personally can deal with it, but understand fully those who can't. And being in a startup can be a daunting experience if you are not set up for what it brings with it. Now to the big question everybody is waiting for an answer. Where's my key? I hear you screaming. Well, Rennsport expects to be able to send 15,000 keys around during November, follow up by 20 to 25,000 keys in December, which would mean half of those queued for a key should get their key by December. And they promise all those who registered in 2022 will have theirs by the end of this year. We thank Rennsport for doing these town halls, which for the next year are tentatively planned for the beginning of every quarter, open to anybody in their Discord, and for their very open communication towards the community. Would be great if other developing studios would do the same. While the development of Assetto Corsa Evoluzione has clearly slowed down after the release of the 1.0 version, it certainly has not stopped. And this week saw the release of the 1.2 version of the extensive Assetto Corsa mod. This version introduces Masterworks, which lets you change the tires of the cars you can drive within the mod, effectively and cleverly changing the tires used by the car mods underneath ACE. It only changes them within ACE though, the mod itself keeps whatever tires came with it. The script deciding which daily races ACE offers has been expanded to understand different configurations of tracks, which of course expands the possibilities of where you drive by the not small number of configurations many tracks have. And the car maintenance screen has a new style in line with the overall style of the mod and introduces a confirmation screen before you spend any money on the car. Because of the many localizations the mod now offers, parts of the UI and especially the buttons have been redone to fit all different languages, and for avid players now you can set the intro to be skipped. Hearing the same intro every hour may become repetitive for sure. All in all, it looks like Alex Bale has either run out of ideas to expand the mod or does not have the time to implement any new ideas he has on the back burner. But this mod is very good as it is, offering a career mod Assetto Corsa surely lacks, and a way to mix that racing game accomplishment feeling with sim racing. Let's not beat around the bush. IndyCar 24 is for all intents and purposes dead. While it was one of the possible outcomes of Motorsport Games closing their Australian development studio, it's clear that sentences in the quarterly report of Motorsport Games as, quote, "the suspension of the development of our previously planned IndyCar registered game," end quote, are the death knell for the sim. Stopping development on something, even for a while, makes it difficult to restart the development. Having that development restarted with someone else's code is a headache that often enough eats up more time than doing that stuff yourself. And of course, it remains to be seen how Penske, the owners of the IndyCar brand, are going to react to that. Speaking of which, the BTCC has rescinded their license with Motorsport Games after what they call fundamental breaches of the agreement by Motorsport Games due to Motorsport Games being unable to fulfill its contractual commitments. Quite harsh words, but seeing the history of Motorsport Games in the last couple of years, completely believable. And in not so bad news, but not so good either, MSG have confirmed Le Mans Ultimate is due on the 20th of February of next year. It's great we now have a release date, but considering we had until now heard something of December 2023, it means effectively 2 months more of waiting. As was expected, LMU will be using Race Control, the multiplayer platform we've all been testing in the last months. Not leaving MSG, the company has reported a net loss of $3.5 million in the last quarter. And even if it's less than the $8.5 million as in Q3 of last year, it's still a lot of money. And yeah, they made $500,000 more than last year, who knows how. Well, they say through the NASCAR Heat 5 DLC, but this company is still spiraling down. To be precise, and according to the numbers, they are burning $1.1 million every month. Considering that number and considering they have 3.2 million in their coffers, you don't have to be a financial genius to see that if Le Mans Ultimate flops, they're toast. Time will tell. A while has passed since we tested this interesting independent game, and this was time the developers used to update the code significantly, bringing optimizations in the code, making it run smoother. Also, they've added force feedback for wheels, so now you hopefully have a feel of what your truck is doing, enduring or suffering, depending on which difficult place you've put yourself into. And you should be able to navigate the game's menus through your wheel now. If you were using a Thrustmaster or Fanatec shifter and having issues, try again now, as the developers claim to have solved these issues. And support for controllers should be better now. The graphics have been tweaked and updated, which will help you see the new level better. That's right, a new and of course challenging track has been added to the game, Mountain Village, with 3 new sections. Add to these many bug fixes and small changes they don't even list, and your experience with this game should now be better and even expanded by a little bit. And the developers promise they are still at it, fixing bugs and hopefully even adding new levels to this impressive indie game around an obscure but fascinating motorsport. The races of the Evolution Racing Academy and the Automobilista 2 Community Cup are all vibrant and full with exceedingly good drivers having glorious moments at least as good as any Fernando Alonso moments. This Wednesday, the Automobilista 2 Community Cup ran F309s on an incredibly wet Spielberg, which saw Drew Face winning once again despite a 10-second penalty, but also saw Tines resurging from a bad qualifying to get himself into 5th position. Not a last to first race, but this is real life, not some race against the AI video to get clicks. And despite a good qualifying, KCSR would not bank on those qualifying results, and neither could AMSU, whose drivers had issues with the internet connection and their wheel respectively. MVRC on the other hand did the best of that opportunity, driving excellently in between the copious spray, ending 2nd and 3rd behind the unreachable Drew Face. In the all-important team standings, KCSR are almost unbeatably in 1st position, but the 2nd and 3rd positions are in no way decided, with AMSU, MVRC and RPM divided by only 4 points. And with still 3 races to go, anything can happen. Speaking of which, the next race will be in a week and a half at Long Beach on Group C cars for 48 laps. Don't miss it, 22nd of November, 2200 CET, and all the other crazy time zones I never can seem to get a grasp on. Things are as exciting in the Evolution Racing Academy as they are in the AMS2CC, even though you would not think so after the results of the 90 minutes of Imola. On the Pro tier, the standings are as they were before Imola, with Hayo Horman on first, Björnstein on second, and Thomas Harton on third. Last year's winner on 6th. On the Pro-Am tier, Chris Wall keeps his first place, closely followed by Nico Lorenz, who moves up to second from 5th place, and while Nathan Warren keeps his 3rd place, he's only 2 points away from Nico. With battles up and down the grid, so many that if we'd explain them all, we'd need at least as much time as the race took. And check it out if you don't believe us. It was Rafael Souza who won the race by a good margin, which placed him on 4th place overall. Stein, Horman and Martin making 2nd, 3rd and 4th respectively. Where have I heard those names before? In the Pro-Am split, Chris Wall was able to make 1st after some clever pit strategy. Rozolski ended 3rd, while our own Ike made 2nd. A feat we're not sure he's recovered completely for tonight's race at Laguna Seca at night. Don't miss it, tonight 2100 CET. It was to be expected. WRC's issues with the graphics were panned by everyone checking out the sim, including us, see the link up there, and EA Codemasters are trying to get a hold of the situation. Released last Tuesday, only minutes before our review, this patch brings many improvements to address the graphic issues and reduce the stuttering, makes WRC compatible with Steam Deck and corrects animation issues like this very funny or oopsie one. In the Ford Fiesta WRC 2019, the driver would pull the handbrake instead of the paddles to shift gears. It also brings telemetry usable by everyone through UDP, and in fact SimHub already is supporting WRC if we see it correctly, but not yet Crew Chief. There's also been a ton and a half of corrections to cars, the career mode and the builder, the championship mod and the co-pilot. There were also a lot of problems putting the decals on the cars in the livery editor, which the team hopes they fix in this update, as well as getting the issue solved where you couldn't paint the mirrors of some cars. A lot of locations got collisions fixed, not further specified visual and gameplay improvements, as well as performance and stability improvements. These one-liners about performance and stability improvements extend to almost every part of WRC, be it in the quick play, the rally school replays or the usage of ultra-wide monitors. The question remains on why this did not happen before WRC was released. Did nobody notice because they all are using overpowered computers? Did management not care about it, similar to what happened with NASCAR 21? I guess we'll never know, but we here are sick and tired of companies unable or unwilling to release products into the market that do not contain such major and critical bugs. This shows a glaring disrespect for us, buyers and fans of their software. Oh, and we've tied Ike to his rig, so he needs to check all the content of the patch before he is allowed to stand up for anything. We'll let you know if this patch fixed any of his issues with WRC.